Hello everyone, it is day 8 and the final day that we are going to be at this location for the Institute. This is the day where we present our lesson plans. Welcome. If you are new to my channel, my name is Marily Sanchez and I'm a 4th grade teacher in South Florida. I'm in this amazing writing institute that is a 2-week institute that my district and the University of Miami collaborate on. And today is a day where we're all wearing our shirts that we got yesterday because we're going to take a group picture. And throughout the day, we're all going to present our lesson plans, what we have put together from all the things that we have learned in this last couple of days and how we plan to implement it in our classrooms. I have created an awesome lesson to share with the teachers, and I did it this way because I want them to be able to adapt it and see all the different ways that I was able to infuse the strategies that I learned. So without further ado, I'm going to walk on in and get our day started. We found these goodies on our desk, and the sentences we wrote the day before were posted on a bulletin board, and Laura got ready to read us a book.
Put that in the basket too. He remembered with sadness the medal his grandfather had given him and placed it neatly next to the shelves.
The day continued by having everyone share their writing lessons, and here is mine. My lesson was on defining moments, and those moments are moments that define who you are and make you change the way, or make us change the way we think and act. So this is my starting point of my lesson to just get students ready for it. Defining moments could be, for example, a first or last time memory. So for me, it was here, the photo represents the first time my mom taught me to draw. And that is a defining moment in my life because I have grown up with drawing and I love to draw even to this day. Another defining moment, as shown by this airplane, was flying from Puerto Rico to Miami when I was 10 years old. And of course, that was a time that my life changed because I no longer lived in Puerto Rico. I lived in the United States. And I had to learn English. I have my experience as an ELL learner that I also share with my students. So of course, that's a time that was defining for me. Another time will be maybe the time we learned something new. Like, for example, I taught myself how to play the drums. And I played the drums while singing at the same time in my church for 7 years. And the last example is a time when we conquer something. So I have this picture of someone that has a 13.1 and a racing medal. I recall here the first time that I ever completed or conquered a half marathon. So those are defining moments for me. Then what I did is I have the book Jabari Jumps by Gaia Cornwall, and I have the Epic logo right here because this book, if you don't have the print version of it, it is available on Epic, and Epic is free for teachers, so you can definitely use it to show students the story. So we would read it aloud, and this is great if you don't have a document camera because you can just show the book on Epic and the students can see the story as well as the illustrations. So we read the book aloud. I read it to them aloud. And then at the end, I have students turn and talk with each other. So collaborative conversations and talk about what was Jabari's defining moment. So for Jabari, if you don't know this cute little story, he goes to a pool and he wants to put everything he has learned about swimming into practice by being able to jump up the high diving board. And he's kind of afraid to do it. And his dad encourages him and even tells him that he doesn't have to do it that day. Eventually, Jabari just makes the decision to confront his fears and just do his best. And he ends up jumping into the pool and he loves it. So we talk about that defining moment. And we also talk about how the author explains Jabari's defining moment, what language the author uses to explain it. So then we go ahead and note all the writing skills that we noticed in the story. It could have been, figurative language. It could have been magnifying the moment, the verbs that the author used, the adjectives, and just basically how the author showed, not told us, everything that was going on with Javari's defining moment. Then we go into our writing notebooks and it's time to plan. It's time to brainstorm. I have the instructions here. They turn to a new page, and on the left side, they make a list of defining moments in their life. And from the list, they choose one and they circle it. So this is my example. My defining moments: getting my first computer, mom teaching me to draw, learning to roller skate, moving to Miami, flying on an airplane. So I circled moving to Miami as one of my defining moments that I want to write about. Then I have the students again turn and talk and do collaborative conversations about which defining moment they chose and tell a little bit about it. Again, talking activates the thoughts and the thinking, helps them brainstorm and what they might be adding to their page once they start writing. Under the list of defining moments, they create a new list and include details and emotions that are connected to that defining moment. And then they draw a quick picture related to that defining moment. So here is mine. So this is my detail list of things that I remember. So mom told us, I was upset, I locked myself in a car, didn't want to move, flew to Miami, started new school, super confused. They didn't wear uniforms back at that time. The lunch I felt was gross. I didn't understand. I didn't know any English and I felt lost. So this is my drawing. This is a bubble like from the teacher, hello class, and other people, how are you? And here, no entiendo nada. Translation, I don't understand anything. So once the students spend that time with planning, then it's time to write their story about that defining moment. So on the right side of the writing notebook, and I let my students know the right side is where you write. They write their personal narrative about that defining moment, and they tell their story in sequential or chronological order, focusing on the quality of details. So here is mine. So you can pause to read how I wrote it, but this is just an example that I show my students. I'm a firm believer in having teacher models and modeling what is expected, obviously going over the checklist for quality work, what will make their work have high quality and be successful. And then when they finish their story, they can think of a word that represents that defining moment. And that word should be written in big letters at the bottom of their story and add details and color to turn it into some kind of word art. So here is mine. Lost was my defining moment word from what I wrote. And I colored it and I created it like that. Now, as students are writing and they are doing all this, then the teacher goes ahead and writes herself, obviously, and then starts to conference with the students. So I have this post-it notes because the students will just add their name to the post-it notes. So I will meet with 3 students during that time as everybody is writing, and I will just have them share with me their writing, and I will offer some things that I notice that they're doing great and some questions, some guiding questions to help them develop their writing more and maybe make some revisions. And then I also have students sign up for author's chair. So we have 1 to 3 students at the end of class to quickly share their writing. As a teacher, you can decide whether it's 1 or 2, depending on how much time you have. And then I have an alternative activity. If you don't want to do this in a writing notebook, you could just have a white sheet of paper that you fold over in quadrants, and you see each section, the directions and how to do it. So they'll brainstorm here, they'll write here, they'll draw their picture, actually brainstorm, draw their picture first, then write the story, and then put their focus word. So it'll look something like this. So that was the lesson that I shared with my fellow teachers the day that we were sharing all our lessons for the Writing Institute. I also wanted to show you how it looks on Jamboard. So I basically exported my slides onto Jamboard. I exported my PowerPoint slides as JPEGs or PNGs, and I inserted them by setting a background and choosing image for each of these slides. So if I actually presented it in Jamboard. So I will go ahead and delete each of these squares. I just drew a white square on top of the pictures so that I could delete them as I went by describing each defining moment type. And then I will continue. And what I liked about Jamboard is that when it was time to share Jabari's defining moment after 10 and talk, you can just do the digital sticky notes and put the text that you need on the sticky note and then place that sticky note somewhere here. And of course, you can resize that sticky note and put as many as you want. So that's something that I really love about Jamboard and their digital sticky notes. Now, you could also share this with your students, so they also add onto the actual slide or page. But sometimes with me in the past, the students had a hard time all logging into the same Jamboard. So I just use it mostly for myself, and I'll ask the students to give me their feedback and I'll add the sticky notes. The same thing with the next turn and talk, with the writing skills. And as you can see, the other pages are pretty much the same, except for the ones that you can add the sticky notes. And of course, when you get to the page where students are adding their names, they can just double click on a sticky note and write their name instead of that number. And that way you know who you're going to conference with, and then who are going to be the author's chair students that will sit to share and celebrate their writing. So this is the lesson plan that I shared the day that we were all sharing our writing lesson plans. All right, everyone, it is the morning of day 9, the final day of the Writing Institute, and I just arrived at the hotel. Today is a celebration of everything we have learned and accomplished these last 2 weeks. So let's go ahead, head on in, and let the fun begin. The hotel was beautiful, as you can see me making my way to the ballroom, but here we are at the breakfast. Everybody was ready to get started, and at our seats we had our pictures with some goodies, and the breakfast was delicious. I mean, look at the options that we have, just amazing. And this was my plate, and this was our gift, which was a little notepad which had a quote from Dr. Lorton herself. And then our facilitators were saying some words about our group. Then our friend Diana read a beautiful writing about our group, and we received our certificate. And that was the end of our emotional and epic Writing Institute. We have just concluded the breakfast celebration for the Glazer Lorton Writing Institute, and it was just an amazing experience. I do have to say I was shocked because when I walked in, they asked me if I would lead the singing at the end of Amazing Grace. That is a tradition that Dr. Lorton used to do, and she passed away last year. She's one of the original founders of the Writing Institute, along with Zelda Glazer. In honor of Dr. Lorton and following the tradition, I started leading everyone. We all gathered around in a circle, holding hands, singing Amazing Grace, the first verse of Amazing Grace. So it was just a beautiful experience, and then gathered around my sisters, because that's what we're calling our group from this year's 2022 Glazer Lorton Writing Institute, the Sisters of the Traveling Pen. I love that. And we all have a WhatsApp chat, and we're just going to continue to keep in touch and share and celebrate each other. So, oh my God, what an amazing experience. I hope you were able to come along with me and learn some new strategies that you can probably use on your own or with your students. If you're a classroom teacher or if you're an administrator, you can share with your team. I just, I wanted to make sure that other people know of this rewarding experience. And again, if you're a South Florida teacher, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, I really encourage you to check out the link below, bookmark it for next spring, and see if you will be next year's Glazer Lorton Writing Institute class of 2023. So, wow, what an experience. If you have made it this far in the video, put a celebration emoji, something that represents celebration. And thank you so much. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought or any questions you may have, or leave an emoji as well. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello, dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you, because you are capable of great things. See you next time.